Welcome to Vice and Easy, your podcast for all things Miami Vice, with your host, Marina.
Hello and welcome back to Vice and Easy. Thank you so much again for your patience. Hopefully now we can get back to normal. Part of the reason I was gone for so long is I got to go to Miami on a work trip. So I had a lot of fun exploring the city and exploring new bars. It's hard to pick my favorite one, but aesthetically, the Sylvester really spoke to me. It's very much like a 60s living room, and they just upgraded their sound system, so go check them out. But every bar I went to Miami was a lot of fun. I went to Mama Tried. It was a really great time. I got to go a little bit early and play tourist. So I went to Vizcaya Gardens. I went to the Miami Marine Stadium, which was kind of funny because basically I just had to get an Uber to drive me there and back. I was trying to take public transit as much as I could. I was able to take the Metro Rail down to Vizcaya Gardens. It was still a very toasty walk to Vizcaya Gardens. It was incredibly humid and just, I was walking a lot more than I should have. It was really gross. But Vizcaya Gardens was gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I didn't get a chance to make it down to Deering Estate. It's a lot farther than I had anticipated. But I was really happy that I was able to go to Vizcaya Gardens. I got to kind of walk around Wynwood and the Arts District. I stayed in Brickell, so I was central. So I did conflate. I'm so sorry. Let me find that.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
In the previous episode, I confused the Metro Mover, which is a little monorail that goes around like downtown in Brickell, with the Metro Rail, which actually goes a little bit further. What is really nice is that they have the underline with rollerblading and bike paths and greenery. So I thought that was really nice. And actually the little monorail was great, especially if you're around like Brickell downtown. You can just kind of hop around. It's just a lot of steps. So be warned, especially when it's hot and if you're not wearing adequate shoes, just, or if it's raining. I got caught in a torrential downpour where the to-go bag for my dinner was quickly eroding. And I was like, God, do I just take the monorail? But then I'm like, I have to run up those stairs and run down the stairs. And I was like, but it'll take me how long to get back? So I decided to time myself. It was going to be a 5-minute walk. And the Metro Mover got there as soon as I made that decision. I was like, oh, God. So I was like, it's too late. I'm not going to run up the stairs in the rain. And it definitely beat walking. I think I was 2 minutes behind. I was like, especially when it's raining. Like I just basically had to take my food and carry it to protect it. Oh man, but it was a really great trip and I was really happy that I was able to go. But that happened after the anniversary. So because work was taking me out to Miami, I didn't go twice, but I'm really happy to see that it went well. People took great pictures. But let's get on to this week's episode. This week, we are breaking down Season 5, Episode 2, entitled Redemption in Blood. I have Redemption in Night for some reason on my notes. I'm also super jet lagged and I'm still a little bit sick. So bear with me if my voice sounds a little extra strained, if I sound a little extra nasally. But let's break it down. Redemption in Blood, per IMDb, the synopsis is as follows. Burnett begins to remember who he really is as Tubbs and the rest of the squad decide he must be taken down. This is a lot of taken down this episode. Now let's get into it. We stopped last episode with the to be continued with Burnett and Cooper meeting in the lighthouse. Again, with Cooper Tubbs trying to get through to Burnett, Sonny Crockett. It's going to be hard for me this episode. I'm going to try to say Burnett and then Crockett at the correct times. If I'm confusing anyone, I do apologize in advance. So it seems like Cooper Tubbs has made some headway and we see Sonny smile. It looks promising until...
Yeah, sure. I know you.
Some things are hard
You're
to
Tubbs.
forget.
Yeah. And you're a cop.
Something you might
And then we hear the gunshots ring out after they kind of get in that tussle. But we see Burnett shoot the wall of the lighthouse. Remember how the previous episode ended with the shots coming from within? This is where it's from. So we know Tubbs is alive. He's running out. He runs out into the woods. And this is where he gets into an altercation with one of Cliff's guys after Burnett has sent them all to find him. Luckily, Tubbs also finds a Jeep that he can hotwire. Now, again, I am no expert. I always thought in movies that you hotwire the car inside. I thought it was wires underneath the steering wheel. Tubbs in this Jeep is doing it by the hood. Maybe there are two different ways. Today I learned that's... And we see Cliff and his two remaining goons, the other one who has died, shoot at the Jeep as Tubbs makes a getaway. Keep this in mind because I put a picture in the gallery of the three men behind Tubbs. And then after Tubbs is gone, Burnett comes and joins them. So those flashbacks seem to have at least elicited some kind of response in Burnett. Maybe not an exact stage where he's remembering who he is, but like something is telling him not to kill Tubbs. Poor guy. How many times has Tubbs tried to do this? So I really give him credit. That is true loyal friendship. After the credits, we are back at OCB. Zwitek, still rocking that same hair. It's going to be a really hard season for me with this hair. He gets off the phone. He says that they can't really ID the dead thug, but they say that he's third world. Let me see if I have this clip.
We're having a tough time identifying Tubbs, Stiff.
How tough?
Our boy's definitely third world, but after that, it's a brick wall.
Stay on it. What about Sonny? Any idea where he might have moved the career operation?
Nothing yet, but we're working on it. Damn, Lieutenant. There was one moment when I thought I was really getting through to him. Are you saying he's turned? Man, I wish I knew.
Yeah, 4 decades ago. 40 years since the pilot. So, yeah, the Cold War was still a thing. That's on me. That's definitely on me. But let's check out back in with Burnett. He is doing A-okay. He's making lots of money. Enough to gift his girlfriend with a ruby and diamond bracelet. There's also a matching necklace, but that's a surprise.
Well, then, wait till you see the necklace that goes with it. Oops, cat's out of the bag.
Necklace?
Say hello to Morris.
Oh!
Easy does it, or you'll be cat chow.
Oh, you wouldn't hurt me, would you, baby?
No, you just might want to put some scratches on your back.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Morris is a beautiful Black Panther, but I was like, oh, this kind of feels a little Scarface-y, you know, like, you're my tiger and I tamed you. But I'll allow it, even though it did make me sad to see such a big, beautiful animal in like such a tiny cage later on this episode. And I honestly thought that the black cat in a cage, I thought it was like, oh, maybe they're just using a house cat because it's like a faraway shot. I was like, and then I heard the growl, and you'll hear it later in the episode. I was like, oh no, they kept that cat for the whole shoot. But the cat also is wearing that necklace to a T. Morris looks great. He is serving looks, as the kids say. But speaking of Burnett, he's still getting these flashbacks, and there are a lot of flashbacks throughout the episode. You'll see, I try to take screenshots of, you know, like really poignant ones. But, you know, he just kind of keeps like pushing them back. He goes out with Cliff and he intercepts two of El Gato's goons picking up a delivery in the swamp somewhere, again, dropped overhead by an airplane. Please look at their outfits. Very, very great in this episode. It is the shiny dress shirt, the gold chain, the other gold chain, just like, really serving looks. I really like Burnett in all black. It's just the sunglasses I can't get on. I think it's because it's a matte frame, and I would expect him to have a shinier frame, like a glossy frame for his sunglasses. But again, I am reading way too much into this. After they capture the men, Cliff is interrogating them, holding them upside down. Looks like he's about to stick a knife up one guy's nose when Burnett lays down the law.
Understand me the first time.
Hell, Sonny. That was you up there. You think El Gato would give you a break?
Cut him down.
Cut him down? What are we doing, electing him president of the company?
No. But I bet they wouldn't say no to a job.
A job? How much booze did it take you to come up with that lame idea?
Excuse me. You running this company now?
Cut him down.
Ooh, so that's going to be interesting. Let's see how our boy El Gato is feeling about all this.
They have stolen the drugs I have killed men for. They have ruined my line of credit. I am forced to use my own money. That tin major from the Banana Republic and that redneck moron and that Burnett. They are all going to die.
Okay, that is just so many gems all at once. I have to use my own money. Top 5. Really enjoy that. So after this whole rant, it's because he pulls out this machine gun and just starts blasting what I assume is his own apartment, or at least an apartment that he owns. And it's just very comical, very funny. There is a GIF. Let me make sure before I say anything. Is there a GIF in the gallery? It's only a picture. Boo, the GIF didn't work, but it's a pretty great picture. Again, just to showcase the style, I see the leopard print lining of his jacket. I see the gloves on as always, and I see not really a Panama hat. It's more like a straw cowboy hat turned up with a leopard bandana. So El Gato, just chef's kiss on how this man styles himself. Oh, one quick note. I totally accidentally skipped over this. I thought I had the clip of Cliff blowing up El Gato's boat, or one of his boats, a competing boat, if you will, with a rocket launcher, a bazooka. Not entirely sure on that one, but it was just very Vice City vibes. So I really appreciated that. And then, speaking of redneck, he's like, this is more fun than shooting squirrels. Just didn't want to forget that. But since Cliff is a little bit irritated with Burnett basically defying him, speaking over him, not listening to him, he goes back to our Commandante. I also appreciate that he's very much a Commandante. As you can see, him and his goons are in full fatigues. You would think that if you were the Commandante of a country, I'm assuming that he did not leave on his own accord. This is the 80s. So what failed junta caused you to flee the country? If you're in Miami, I might want to lay a little bit low. Even if I'm doing deals, I would not want to be in fatigues and have, one of your citizens who has rightful beef with you to see you in public. But it does make for some great photos for the gallery, so I'm not mad at it. Let's get back to the conversation. I keep veering off. So Cliff goes to, I don't want to say snitch, but tell the Commandante what's really going on.
I'm the hombre who blew El Gato back to Bogota. Burnett's on a snowboat to nowhere.
That is a problem. Do what you must.
Snowboat, not plane, not snowmobile. Okay, I digress. Let's check back in with Burnett. since they're implying that he's drunk and doing a ton of blow. He's kind of passed out on the couch drinking out of a bottle of champagne when he's just being very stoic as the song plays.
Girl, if you ask me to, 'cause it would take 1,000 lives to show how much you give me.
So that is by Tim Truman, who is now doing the score for Miami Vice in season 5. But I just had my mind blown, and I will tell you more in Vice T. It's not that scandalous. It's more for me when my two worlds collide. So as this song is playing, everything inside me, so obviously, you know, referring to everything inside of Burnett and the Crockett flashbacks, and we get another flashback to Tubbs. Then Celeste comes to play. Giving cocaine to the cat?
Care to join me in a little aerobics? Breathe in, breathe out. Can't forget teacher's pet.
Don't give me that cat. Damn cat's wired enough as it is.
The one thing with this scene, it still is poignant, but Don Johnson does not play a drunk very well, in that I kind of, 1 second. And we are back. I've just been in full laundry mode, so I just have to make sure I get it as soon as it's done. Repeat. So sorry about that. As Burnett and Celeste are, feeling a little amorous on the couch. Again, Burnett is like 4 sheets to the wind. Not 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, he just doesn't play convincingly, and that's why his weird drunk face when he realizes that Celeste is not Caitlin, because he's having flashbacks of Caitlin. That's why it's on the episode art. But what I also thought was funny is that, like, her big, like, you can't turn me on and turn me off. Who do you think you are? After I slept with Mickey for you. I was like, oh, that's just, like, so bad on so many levels. Like, it's really icky on his part. That's really gross. I'm just gonna skip over that. Again, sad to see Morris in a cage. He should be free. But let's go check in on Burnett, just like me in Miami, walking fully clothed. Wasn't wearing black. Actually, I was wearing black. As he kind of skips stones and ponders, if you will, as he walks down the shoreline, and more flashbacks are coming back. Then Celeste, going to lunch expecting to see Crockett, is actually meeting Cliff. Sees Cliff, she's surprised, but he gets her to stay. He hypothesizes that Sonny is probably off getting drunk somewhere when he's actually pondering, seemingly sober. Then he tells the story of Sandy the cow. Before I jump all over it, let me play you the clip so you get the gist of it.
And he had himself a whole slew of cows. But he had this one in particular. Call it Sandy. Well, Sandy was the best of the whole lot. He produced more milk than all the rest of them cows put together.
I don't know if I'd be drinking that milk if I were you. Now, what he really means is that this farmer got to depend on his cash cow and neglected or didn't want to have any other cows. He was just focused on Sandy. Kind of insinuating that Crockett is doing the same to Cliff. This is also the same lunch where Cliff recommends the veal. There's a caged panther, and they're hyping up veal at lunch. Not really a highlight episode for vegetarian podcasters having to break this down. But this is where he's going with it. He's planting that idea in Celeste's head. Let's see how she rolls with it. Cut back, Burnett and Celeste and some goons, including the one on the left, who's just rocking this beautiful curly long hair, mustache, looking like a serious absolute unit, as the kids describe Pesto is what this gentleman would be. As they're watching the fighter, Celeste has no interest in boxing or any other pugilistic endeavor, and she says so to Crockett.
Play your cards right, and I'll give you a piece of this fighter.
The only piece of him that interests me is his tush.
Totally fair. So as Burnett and Celeste leave arm in arm, as they're making their way outside, I guess this is Crockett's new prized fighter. We don't know which one it is. We also get to see him, which is very comical, reading what looks to be the program, but it's being read like a centerfold, which is very funny. But just as these magic words are uttered, Celeste has a reason not to go to the car.
Car's ready, sir.
All right, let's go.
I left my purse inside. Go ahead, and I'll meet you.
All right, hurry up. Stay with her.
Message!
Yeah, and then we see Celeste inside, just like really stressed out. You can tell she's really going through something. We see her rubbing her face, her hands. She's looking back. And as Crockett is still reading the boxing program, but like a centerfold, which obviously I've included the gallery, he's making his way to the open car door, and the camera pans to the open door of the limousine. We all know what's going on. Crockett does not. Until Celeste finally screams out. He's able to jump out of the way as the limo explodes. The next scene, we see gauze covering Crockett's eyes as Celeste is watching a doctor unwrap the gauze covering his eyes. Celeste wants the doctor out of here.
More time.
Look, I don't want your opinion, Doc. Just remove the bandages and bank your fee.
Oh, why so quick to get rid of the doctor?
Oh, it's a miracle you survived the explosion and that you still have your sight. What? How'd it happen anyway?
Thank you very much for your services, Doc. You can leave now.
Man, Sonny has been through it. I cannot even. Oh my God. And it looks like it could be like he got pepper sprayed. Like that's the kind of like redness around his eyes. Like it looks bad. And like obviously the doctor is concerned, like, oh, you almost exploded. Maybe you shouldn't get your bandages off, take it off this quickly. Like the doctor is a professional. Unfortunately, they're not going to listen to him. And Crockett, very vulnerable too. Like he's just getting his eyesight back. He's just with Celeste, and he kind of is able to piece two and two together that Celeste knew what could have happened to him.
Please, Sonny. Please, I love you.
Got a funny way of showing it.
This is when he's pointing a gun at her. Like, I don't condone that, but yeah, you knew he was going to get blown up. You did save him at the end. If that were me, I think I would just peace out. I think I would just like leave the country. But we see Cliff meeting with the Commandante. He assures the Commandante that Burnett is dead. Surprise! Not to make light of pulling a gun on a woman, but we kind of see Crockett being a little disoriented, and then like 2 minutes later pulling a gun. Like, oh, his vision's fine now. Never mind. The doctor was right. The doctor wasn't right. The doctor was just overplayed too much. He's totally fine. But you know who's also going through it at this time? Gato.
Look at this place. This pure coal. Once I was like a king. I had money and power. Women. Now little Gato has nada.
You must act. Remember, you are El Gato.
Yes. My friend, you are right. And you should speak to me with more respect.
And then he shoots him, this poor guy. Again, please go to the gallery and check out what he's wearing. It is a great outfit. But I also, again, I'm not trying to talk poorly, but the money, the power, the women. We thought El Gato had a lover. He could be bisexual or pansexual, but that's just very Scarface. I understand that Scarface came up before this episode, but and there was a lot of like inspiration, but it just seems a little much this episode. But maybe I'm just doing a little bit more because I've seen Scarface and Miami Vice episodes multiple times. So maybe I'm just being a hater. Hey, let's move on. Let's go for another stoic walk in the park as Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush serenade us. Burnett is going for another walk on South Beach. We see dominoes and men in Panama hats smoking. This is exactly what you want in Miami. And it's very cute. I went to Gato and I was just trying to get like a little like souvenir. And there were so many Panama hats of like all different colors, all different sizes. And just like very gaudy shirts that I was like, you know what? I don't think anyone in my life will appreciate this. So I ended up getting like one of those little fancy coffee pots where you put the grounds in the bottom and heat it up and it kind of filters through. Again, I don't really drink coffee, so I don't know how it works, but it was very cool. And I don't mind Cuban coffee, but I had to get mine tres leche style. It was really good. Really, really, really good. It was super heavy and rich, but I loved it. And I want to say that I could replicate that at home, but I don't think I could. But that was the only way I could do my Cuban coffee because it's so strong. Did I ever tell you guys a story? This was years ago. I was at my ex's house and we're just having a dinner and I was super hungover and they served Cuban coffee and I just like chugged it, and his family looked horrified. They're like, no, like just sip it. And I was just kind of like shaking the whole night, and I like spilled the coffee too. It was like Vietnamese iced coffee and Cuban coffee. I think Cuban coffee hit me way harder. I think also just because I was like so tired and dehydrated and hungover. Yeah, and then just to be hit straight with Cuban coffee that I chugged. Whew, yeah, so take your time. Enjoy it slowly. Let me play you the song, because this is going to precede Crockett Burnett, but more Crockett going into OCB.
Seems I am a man whose dreams have all deserted. I've changed my face, I've changed my name, but no one wants you when you lose.
That very apropos song is Don't Give Up by Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. So that song continues with Kate Bush singing this, beautiful soprano chorus of like, don't give up. You still have us. Don't give up. We don't need much of anything. Don't give up, because somewhere there's a place where we belong. So that's super fitting to have Crockett finally regain his memory and go back to OCB. It's very sweet, but not for long, because he walks back into OCB and they pull guns on him and they're all silent and stunned. I have a gif of them all pulling guns on him. Almost all. Like Gina doesn't pull a gun on him. She's shocked, but oh man. But they get to talk to him, Zwitek and Castillo, and get a little bit more insight into what he remembers and what happened before he switched over.
And there was an explosion. A hospital. And then I went to work. Manolo. And then Carrera.
You remember shooting a cop on the pier?
No.
What about shooting Tubbs?
He was wearing a vest.
I'm not looking for absolution here. I just want a little help.
You can also see just how wrecked with guilt Crockett is, learning that he shot Tubbs. And the relief when he discovers that Tubbs is okay. But unfortunately, even though he wasn't himself, that is not going to fly with what has transpired, and Castillo has to break it to him.
I gotta book you, Sonny.
Whew. And that also hurts. And also, before they book him, he gets a chance to talk to Tubbs, and this also hurts.
Partners. You tried to kill me, man. Twice. Yeah, I know.
I understand that Crockett is at a loss for words, and I still think I'd be like, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, an apology would have sufficed in this moment. And I understand that Crockett's just feeling a lot of guilt and shame, and there's nothing he can do to change what happened. He's still going to get booked. When they walk down the hallway with Switek, they run into another member of the force who's taking in a guy. And this person recognizes Sonny Crockett, says his name out loud, and also declares that he never thought that he'd see Sonny in this position. Keep that in mind for later. When they get to the elevator, Crockett's trying to make small talk with Switek, kind of fat shames him. He's like, oh, you look like you lost 40 pounds, and like pats him on the side of the hip. He didn't clearly not lose 40 pounds. So like that's why if he had, that would have been different. But I was like, oh, that's a little mean. But when the elevator comes, the doors open. You know, Switek is telling Crockett, like, hey, man, like, I'm just doing my job. Crockett turns around him and says he's also doing his job as he punches Switek in the back of the head, disarms him, grabs his gun, and presses the elevator button. Ooh, what's Crockett going to get up to now? He's going to finish some unfinished business. He goes back to see Cliff. Cliff is looking very late 80s. We have a blue background. We have a very minimally decorated office that's like clearly kind of just like a boiler room. You just like set it up, set it out. Set it up, take it down. He is also just putting his feet up with wads of bills, you know, neatly organized around him. He's very surprised to see Crockett. Remember, Burnett, he thought Burnett was killed. He even told the Commandante that he was killed. So this is going to be interesting. They end up trying to talk at a cafe/biker bar on the beach, as you can see in the gallery. When Burnett, remember he's acting as Burnett now, goes to the bathroom, he really sneaks out the window, makes a call, climbs back into the window and exits the bathroom, only to find one of Cliff's goons waiting for him. Since he doesn't feel that Cliff is trusting him, he throws said goon onto the table while this poor server is trying to take an order. However, it is a great gif, I will say. And basically just, again, reiterates the point home to Cliff that that kind of mistrust will not be tolerated. As this whole deal is going to go down somewhere in West Dade County, don't really know exactly where it is, but like West Dade County, it looks like a refinery. As Cliff is kind of talking to some of his goons, Burnett's, walking around, doing stuff, showboating. We see a familiar face. Remember how I said that the other member of the force, I want to say it's a police officer, maybe a sergeant, recognized Sonny, said his full name, and said he never thought he'd see him there, and mentioned that he was a cop. Yeah, so this guy recognizes him, the guy that clearly just got sprung out of jail, points him out to Cliff.
Man, the security sucks around here.
You talking about partner?
That dude, he's heat.
So my whole view on Tim Truman changed within the last 20 minutes. But I still like keeping the extended clips because I really do enjoy that kind of guitar outro. It doesn't feel the same as the first seasons of Miami Vice, and I understand that. And I'm really trying to enjoy season 5 as its own entity, and part of that is just like, let me just succumb, let me just enjoy the cheesy guitar riffs. Obviously, it's not good news for Crockett. Cliff pulls a knife. He's about to basically take him out when there's a police helicopter overhead. Officers start coming down. Everyone starts running in different directions, shooting out. When, unfortunately, Tubbs and Cliff get close to each other and get entangled. As Tubbs has fallen down, he ends up grabbing onto the edge of the bridge while Cliff is up top, menacingly waving his foot around, as you can see in the GIF. More of the GIF I took because it was like big Lion King energy. Sorry, spoiler alert. However, unlike the Lion King, Cliff is packing heat. So as he's pulling out the gun, about to shoot Tubbs, you could tell he's really freaking out. He says he's slipping. He yells it out loud. Crockett comes to the rescue, shoots Cliff, and helps Tubbs get back up. So, is this all wrapped up in a nice little package? Who knows? Well, despite all the sketchy behavior at OCB and despite still appearing as Burnett, for once Burnett did not shoot Tubbs, and instead Crockett came in to save the day. As they're kind of talking afterwards, Crockett says that there's someone he doesn't want to get burned in all this, and he goes back to see Celeste. Celeste, looking like $1 million, so beautiful, with the light illuminating that beautiful face behind her, is packing. Where's she gonna go?
Where are you headed?
Don't know. Used to play this game when I was a kid. Spin the globe, close my eyes, and point. That's where I'd end up. Only problem is, can't find my globe.
And despite this really tumultuous, weird relationship, they actually have a very sweet farewell, and Crockett doesn't appear to be playing into the Burnett part anymore, and it just sounds very genuine.
You're a smart woman, Celeste. A little hard work. You can probably take care of yourself. First thing you gotta do is get rid of the blow.
Who knows, maybe one day I'll put it all together.
But not today, baby.
Oh my God, this man knows how to steal a scene. Enter in the next clip.
So you crawled out from under your rock. Hey, Ernesto.
I think I am too young and too handsome to retire, don't you?
Oh my God. so iconic. This man is giving us nothing but lines and content. Oh my God. But he really wants to know where the money is. He's loaded, he's packed, he's ready to go. He insists it's in the house. He insists that he's going to find the safe. Once he walks Crockett and Celeste downstairs at gunpoint, he keeps insisting that the money's somewhere and then he's going to find the safe. He looks at these two doors to his right and he's determined that that is correct and that's where the money is. But he doesn't listen.
Ernesto, it's not there. Don't go in there.
It's in there, isn't it? Money!
And that is the end of the episode. Let's start breaking down. Let's start with fashion. And a surprise to nobody, my best dressed male is Gato. Yes, he could have been wild card, but again, he's only for 2 episodes and he just got eaten by another cat, albeit a bigger one. His final outfit ever, with the gold chains, the panther pendant, the panther facade that he has as well. It took me for a loop. I'm like, it looks like a logo. Is that like the Carolina Panthers? Is that Penn State? And I couldn't find one that matched. I just think it's like a cat logo. But if you do know, please let me know. With the zebra suit, with the black sequin lapels, the silky white gloves, with the rings on top of the gloves. I cannot get enough of this man. What an epic finish to this arc. Best dressed woman, naturally, I picked Celeste as she was packing just because that was my favorite one of her outfits. Again, she's a model. She can wear anything. But I just really thought that this showed that she was growing up a bit, that her character was becoming a little bit more self-aware and a little bit more dynamic in choosing her own path, which I really appreciate. My wild card, I never thought I'd say the day, is Tubbs. It's more the way he's wearing his tie. It looks like almost as if he took the bottom of his tie, tucked it under and pulled it up, and it seems to be resting back at the top. You have to go to the gallery and see how this is. I don't know if this is a particular style. It was at the time. It looks like it's a Windsor knot at the base. I could be wrong. So please, if anyone knows, I am all ears. Now, with music, this episode hit me harder than I thought it would because these songs were all pretty poignant. You Never Listen to Me by Peter Cetera. Everything Inside of Me by Tim Truman, our boy. Then Don't Give Up by Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. And these songs all came at like really important times of the episode. My favorite one naturally is going to be, this is so tough. I really like Don't Give Up because the lyrics are so poignant. Like as I was reading them out to you guys, I was like, oh, that really gets to me. Like they really listened to the song and they really matched it. The dichotomy in their voice is a little weird. Like I like Kate Bush, but I was just like, oh, it's like a little jarring to hear that high pitch on the chorus. I don't think I was saying that originally in the episode, so I just contradicted myself. But that would be my song of the episode, also because it's just finally it's Crockett becoming Crockett again and realizing who he was and what he's meant to be and who his true friends are. So I thought that was a really poignant way to tie the theme of the episode together. Now, I don't really have Vice to use, so I'm not going to play the sound effect. But as I was doing research, I was like, oh, Tim Truman, I want to make sure it's the same guy because there is another Timothy Truman. The Wikipedia entry says Melrose Place theme song composer. Oh my God, that's why I kept calling. I was like, oh, I like the kind of like a Melrose Place guitar riff. I didn't know that this was the guy. I just found that out and I can't believe it. The Melrose Place theme song is good. It's so 90s and it really fits that theme. But the score on Melrose Place was so good because it was so over the top and dramatic. And this is where I will slightly veer off point. Like I spoke earlier in the podcast about Dick Wolf and how his vision for Miami Vice wasn't what we as fans wanted, but it was able to give him the roots to start Law and Order. This is kind of how I feel about Tim Truman, that it's not what we want as fans. It's not what we are used to, but it worked out really well for him. And then sometimes you're just not in the right job, or you just hired someone who's not right for the job. It doesn't mean that they're not skilled, doesn't mean that they're not talented. It's just not the right fit. And sometimes you can't fit yourself into places where you don't belong. And let's get goofy with it after all that, and let's pick the quote of the episode. Quote 1.
They have stolen the drugs I have killed men for. They have ruined my line of credit. I am forced to use my own money.
I am forced to use my own money. Oh, man. Well, quote number 2.
Burnett's on a snowboat to nowhere.
And finally, quote 3.
I think I am too young and too handsome to retire, don't you?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, no surprise. I'm going to go with quote number 3.
I think I am too young and too handsome to retire, don't you?
That is the energy I wish for you all to bring into the weekend. And with that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please bear with me. I am changing over editing programs, so it's a little bit delayed. I'm so sorry, but please like and subscribe. Leave a 5-star review if you listen on Apple Podcast. Follow me on all things social at A Vice and Easy Podcast. Definitely check out the gallery as you watch the episode, and you can find that link on the descriptor notes of each and every episode of Vice and Easy. And thank you again for your patience. I look back to regular programming and getting down into season 5 with you all, especially now that I know that there's a Melrose Place connection and it's not just in my head. Amazing. Thank you as always for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Hey man, Miami Vice is #1 new show.